going into my sophomore year of high school, my best friend faced a tragic incident. He was 17 years old, and he was came up with 44533782. That's a mouthful. That's how our legal system works. It's just numbers. He thankfully was able to escape from the situation virtually scot-free. He didn't go to prison, and he escaped time. Today, we're going to look at why that happened. Because he didn't have a fantastic lawyer. He didn't have a family friend that was the judge, and he didn't know a police officer. Instead, he simply played a game, a numbers game. And today, we're going to look at that numbers game in the United States prison system and legal system in the United States. How do you walk away from jail when you're guilty of a crime, and how do you not serve time? It's a hard question to ask, and the reality of the situation is very few people walk away from sentences. But my friend did, and he wasn't some kind of a genius, he wasn't some kind of a massive criminal, he was just given a second chance because people around him in the justice system believed in him. That doesn't happen for everyone. Our justice system isn't fair. It's rather unjust. And that's what I want to talk to you guys about. So let's begin. This is a picture of the average prison cell in America. I want you guys to really look at this picture and see what you can notice. It's kind of hard. I'll give you a hint, you're looking for colors. Look at the faces that you see there. These are all prisoners of the United States government. We're going to come back to this in a couple of seconds. This is U.S. Census data from 2019, sorry. The average American population is 76.5% white. It is only 13.4% black. Let's go back to that picture. What do you see? 7 out of the 11 people in that picture are African American. That's a problem, but this is indicative of the United States prison system. It's not fair to minorities. It's only fair to white Americans, and it's a disadvantage that's been a long-term problem. Don't just look at this picture, look at the larger statistics. This was taken last month by the Bureau of Prisons of the United States government. 34% of prisoners were African American. Only 58% were white. Those numbers don't align with our general population of the United States, and that's a significant problem. According to Graham and Robert Graham, when they did a demographic analysis of the United States prison system, what race people were from, and how likely they were to be in prison, African Americans were 6 times more likely to be in prison than white Americans for the same crime. That's a problem. I don't see justice there, and I hope you don't either. Next set of numbers I'm about to show you, I want you to keep in mind what I just talked to you about Graham's statistic. These numbers are nationwide. They're not specific to African Americans in general. They're specific to the United States, to the people in our country, to each and every single one of us, besides a couple of us, I should mention. 118 million Americans have a current immediate family member, adult Americans, have a current immediate family member that is incarcerated. That's right now. That's 118 million people. You know 118 million people because I don't. That's a lot. That's a huge number. It's ridiculous. Almost half of all Americans have a family member that has experienced incarceration. Statistically, it's very likely that at least one of you in this room, even given our socioeconomic status, has a family member who's currently in prison. Let's not just look at those numbers, let's look at it in terms of families. 1 out of 4 siblings have had a family member in prison. 1 out of 7 spouses had a family member in prison. 1 out of 8 children have had a family member in prison. 1 out of 5 parents had a family member in prison. That's according to a University of Cornell study, along with those 2 other statistics. Just wanted to wait until the end to show you. Let's view this more in terms of what those numbers really represent. They represent families, they represent lives, they represent children, husbands and wives, babies and families, and parents that aren't there to take care of their children. That's a real problem, and we need to do something about that because we are leaving people with no choice but to be at a disadvantage. It's our fault. Take, for instance, the story of William Black. William Black was a successful sports agent in mid 2000s, and he was arrested driving home from the University of South Carolina football game by the FBI and by the FBI and the Department of Justice for defrauding his clients, a charge which he was later cleared of. He was found innocent after the fact, but he spent 5 years in prison. He lost his wife to divorce because she couldn't stand to not see him more than 10 minutes, talking to him more than 10 minutes a day. That's all the federal prison system allows you to have as a prisoner. You can only talk 10 minutes a day on the phone. His daughter, who was a straight-A student in high school, went to University of Tennessee on a full academic drive. She quickly dropped out the same year he went to prison, became pregnant, and had no career choices. She didn't have a father figure in her life. His son, his 21-year-old son, was a truck driver, a semi-successful truck driver in business, a small business owner. Instead, once his dad went to prison, he began selling hard drugs. The first time in his life. He'd never done drugs, but without a father figure, he had no choice. He just didn't have a good role model. His younger son was forced to drop out of high school because so many people knew about his charges and the stigma about his dad that he was constantly bullied and made fun of. And he told his 4-year-old son, the entire time he was in prison, that he was just on a long business trip. His son once asked him, "Why have I not talked to you? Why have I not seen you in over 1 million days?" Slight exaggeration, but it's a 4-year-old. And he had no choice but to tell him that he was still working because he didn't want his son to know the truth that he was unjustly in prison because our system is corrupt and broken and it doesn't give people of minorities a fair chance. Why did my friend walk away from that prison sentence? This is a composite image from Nature in 1998 of what the average white male looks like. And without giving away the identity of my friend, this is what he looked like. This is very similar to his makeup, and he grew up in the South. He grew up in South Carolina, one of the worst states for the imbalance between imbalance between race and prison crime. My friend looked like this, and that's the only game he played. He just played the numbers game. He just knew, and he didn't know, unknowingly. He bet on himself, on his socioeconomic status, and on his race to be given a second chance for a crime that, quite frankly, everyone should be given a second chance. It's a non-violent offender crime. That didn't happen for a large amount of people. And that's a problem in our system. Our justice system is broken, and it's hurting our society. We don't have a society that gives people a second chance. What kind of society are we if we just abandon 118 million people who've been without their fathers and their brothers and their mothers? That's a problem, and we need to fix it. So here's what you can do. You can support programs, legislation like the First Step Act. The First Step Act aims to give people a better chance of getting jobs coming out of college, coming out of prison, I should say. It's very hard to become an employed person once you have a felony misdemeanor record. And the First Step Act, which was recently enacted, aims to help people cross that bridge from being an inmate to being a productive member of society. But we have so few programs like this that we need to make more of them. The other thing you can do is support programs like the Center for American Progress. They are a lobbyist firm that supports new legislation that enables people to not go to prison for unjust crimes, for unjust amounts of time. And then finally, you can go to fwd.us.com. All it takes is a simple link right there in the bottom right-hand corner for you to type in your names and you can sign up and become involved in the cause. But you've got to make a difference because even though you might not be affected, so many people are that it's a significant issue in our society. We aren't just.